بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. So today, inshallah, we'll talk about research report process and writing research in the field of uh, engineering businesses is very important. The book is dedicated chapter 8 for this topic. So before we start our lecture for today, let's start by asking a question: why researching is crucial to be successful in your job and in the company. So in industry, companies use research to make major decisions that affect production, sales, service, hiring, promotions, and locations. In the world of work, research helps companies to stay within budget, remain up to date with the market trends and the new technologies, meet the needs for their customers worldwide, avoid problems with equipment, procedures, and the environment, explore any new opening and opportunities, increase the profits, report to the stakeholders, community groups, government agencies. Whereas in the academia, research is mandatory for promotion, as all we know. Sometimes it is required by the instructor to submit a research. So learning these skills is very crucial. To do effective research, you need to learn these following skills. So research follows a process. You have to gather, summarize, and organize information before you can interpret it. Then interpreting it, you must be able to answer these questions and solve the problems. Doing networking is very important skill because it helps you to gather some information and open the access for resources. Reading literature related to your topic is also another important skills. Sometimes you need to do a direct observation that include interviews, surveys, and organize information. After collecting this information from the resources, you have to organize them into a clear and accurate reports and make it very persuasive. Finally, carefully complete all these documents and document your resources, authentic resources. So characteristics of effective workplace research. To make sure your workplace research exhibits the highest professional standards, it must be relevant. Its job-related research must focus directly on the providing specific answers and solution to the key questions and problems affecting your company and job. As all we know, research in business world is so costly. Your employer will not allow you to waste time and money on side issues, unprotected leads, or personal interests. Also, it has to be current. Your information must be up to date. Markets and technologies change rapidly, and employers will insist that your research is on the cutting edge of your profession. By keeping up with the most recent trends and ideas, you can give your employer a bigger picture of the market and help your firm to stay competitive. Also, it has to be accurate. So accurate means you have to double and triple check all the facts and the figures, the dates, addresses, names, regulations, and so on used in your research. So make sure you record all information accurately. Your boss will expect you to report to be based on quantifiable, measurable data that are essential to precise research. Also, it has to be original. Employers will throw out and supported conclusion. Don't just repeat what you have read in the report, an article, or heard at a conference. So evaluate all data, question and test that you have read all the information. Um, um, that you are presenting. That way you can modify, expand, reject, or use it to project and predict. This is the way to arrive to original answers and the solutions for your on-the-job research. It has also to be thorough. Look at the question or problem from all sides. Network with the colleagues to look for any gaps or inconsistencies, as well as business opportunities. Confirm all options and opinions. Never omit important data. It has to be realistic. Base your research on realistic, profitable conclusions and substantial recommendations that fly in the face of the company's protocol, such as dropping a product line, hire or fire 100 people, or move a plant location, may not be logical, profitable, or accessible. Be sure that your research is consistent with your company's policies. And it has to be balanced. Don't just rely on one source or interview and think that you have done sufficient research. You have to discover and acknowledge opposing viewpoints. Keep in mind that even experts can disagree. If you are surveying customer opinions, choose a representative sample of this group and do not leave out those customers who may be critical of the product or service. Negative reactions sometimes lead to productive or profitable changes. And finally, it has to be an ethical and legal research. Obtain your findings ethically and lawfully so that you do not interfere on the right of others. Providing someone's unpublished research, sharing confidential or privileged information with a third party, or skewing the results of survey are all unethical acts. Therefore, um, uh, and also discounting or minimizing facts that don't agree with the findings you want or expect. Plagiarism and omitting evidence are serious violation in the world of work, just as they are in the classroom. So be sure that all of your recommendations are environmentally sound. Just stop for a second and make sure that the sound is working. Hello? 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 It seems working. So we'll finish this slide. The research process. So in research, you go through steps of findings, assessing and incorporating information into your written work. So you make sure that I'm sharing the screen. Okay. So in research, you go through the steps of finding, assessing, and incorporating the information into your written work. So let's begin this process. First, you have to confirm the purpose and audience of your report. Know who your audience is and why you are writing to them. Will your reader be management or co-workers or clients or governmental agencies or a combination of these groups? What are their expectations about linked sources of your information and level of technical details? Conclusions and recommendations and so on. Again, what is the bottom line? What do you have to answer? Argue, propose, solve, and cover, change, describe, or compare, and why. حياك يا دكتورة. السلام عليكم. 201 دكتورة. ايه الساعة 8 من originally from 8 to up to 10 قبل رمضان. يعني نفس الوقت. وين ممكن تجيني دكتورة؟ which class؟ فسيولوجي يوم الأحد. غريبة دكتورة. من 10. لا originally قبل رمضان الساعة كم؟ اي في رمضان يختلف موعدها. الساعة 10 دقيقة بس دكتورة. اي خليني اعطيك الموعد الجديدة بس خلينا اوقف تسجيل. اي ما جاء احد، انا قاعد اسجل المحاضرة. نعم.
دور علي الكلاب كان بيكون فاضيين عشان ما اعرفش الكلية.
ظاهر يا دكتورة.
I guess انها تبقى من المفروض 10 دي تالت محاضرة يعني 10:30.
تقريبا لأن أنا أخلص تقريبا عن الساعة 10:15.
10:15 صح؟
إيه خل أستأكد.
مش مشكلة، أنا غالبا هسجلها وبوستد as recorded
تمام.
أبعتها لهم. بس ممكن نقعد في أي كلاس تاني فاضي.
نعم الله يوفقك دكتورة. الله يسعدك، جزاك الله خير. بس دكتورة for your information المحاضرة الساعة 10 تبدأ 10:50 10:50 from 10:50 up to 12:05. تمام. الله يعطيك العافية. So confirm the purpose and audience of your report. Know who your audience is and why you are writing to them. Will your readers be management, co-workers, as we said earlier? So after this confirmation, you have to use a variety of resources that can be written or recorded, posted online or in books. And the main and once you get these resources, make sure that you have identified and are able to retrieve this information once it's needed. Once it's collected, evaluate your resources, both print and online. Make sure that they are authentic resources and can be used in your research. Consult appropriate resource people and experts. If you are not sure if these are an authentic resources and valid results, so make sure that you consult with an expert in the field to make sure that what you are presenting and collecting are authentic. Document your sources, and we will learn in this lecture how to document the resources and references. And finally, submit specific recommendation based on your research, and make sure that you adhere to the schedule of and the time frame of your research. So let's move on. There are two types of research. One is called the primary research and secondary research. And the classification of research are, there are different types of classification, but this is are classified based on the type of information that based on the data that you're collecting. So when we say primary research, that means you're conducting, that means you are the source of data. So consulting research of information not found in a printed document or in the web. So it involves interacting directly with people, places, and things. If you're the source of this data that is collected, then this is classified as primary research, which include direct observation, tests, site visits, interviews, focus groups, and surveys. Whereas secondary research, that means you are seeking somebody else data, or you're using somebody else data or information or facts. So it's involved consulting existing print and online sources. Methods of secondary research include evaluating websites, searching databases, reading books, journals, magazines, consulting manuals and reference works, examining product reviews, and using government documents. Here are some examples of kinds of primary and secondary research that you can expect to do in the job. First, primary, making a direct observation, as we said, performing tests, going on sites. And this is, on the other hand, the secondary research includes consulting manuals and reference works, reading books and journals, examining product reviews, using governmental documents, etc. This is an example of report based on a direct observation, site visits, and tests. So sometimes you may have to use all three types of observational research when preparing your report. As in this example, Kirk Smith did for his study of Cambridge, Massachusetts water quality in the figure 8.2. Not only did he observe and record the data collection methods used at the three reservoirs, but he also visited these sites and conducted his own tests. You can read this research in your own. And this is another example by seeking, doing an interview when someone who is an expert in the field. The researcher here is asking about the culture of China and how can you do an appropriate business conduct with them. This is an example of an online survey that is used to seek information that can be used in a research. On the other hand, as we said, secondary research can be from different resources. The data is collected from different resources. The researcher is not doing it. So that includes libraries, different kind of libraries, corporate libraries, public and academic libraries, e-libraries, databases, which include information found in database, frequently used database, business and other specialized databases, reference materials, like encyclopedia, dictionaries, almanacs, atlases, government documents, directories, handbook and manuals, statistics, etc. and using internet search, but make sure it's authentic sources that include subject search engines and subject directories. If you are using an internet searches or internet and generally speaking, so make sure that the website is evaluated and credible, accurate, up-to-date, and relevant and objective. This is an example of one of the university's library. And by the way, using PNU University library website is very useful and research as a method of research, because it's you can take the benefit of being a student and allow you to access to some of the resources that you have to pay in order to access to view the information in that database, especially the one in journals, paid journals and books. And this is USA Government Reference Center. This is one of the company's homepage that you can use if you are seeking to know more about their products. You're researching about their products as a competitor or as an example. These are different types of internet search engine. Mainly you can use Google. Specifically, you can use Google Scholar, since it is targeting an authentic resources such as journals and books, and it's mainly used in academia research. So there is a very important note taking is very important as well. It's a crucial link between finding resources, reading and responding to them, and writing your report. These are some guidelines to take effective notes: photocopy, scan, download the version of any literature you may incorporate into your work, record all quotations, bookmark any internet sites that you may return to, cut and paste information directly from online sources into your word processing program, and include exact source information. What should you quote and not to quote? So quotation. So if you are incorporate too many quotations in your report, you will simply be transferring the author's words from the book, article, or website to your paper. That will show that you have read the work, but basically do not understand well. So copying it and pasting it is not understand. It's not like understand. So you have to evaluate the work before writing it again. So do not use direct quotations simply as a filter. Save them for when they count most. When should they count most? So when an author has summarized a great deal of significant information concisely into a few well-chosen sentences, or when a writer has clarified a difficult concept exceedingly well, or when an author has made his or her chief statement of thesis, or if you're quoting an expression, or if using some sentences that is considered to be important, such as you're quoting from the Quran or from the Sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or if you're quoting a definition, a short definition that is remarkably presented for a topic. So these cases, you can use the quotation. And when we say quotation, that means you're copying and pasting the statement as is, and should be usually very short. So how much do I need to quote directly? Where can I shorten the quote by using ellipses? When should I paraphrase instead of quoting? So we will learn about all of these in the following slides. So as we said, for example, The note in the figure contains a brief, well-worded, and significant statement by an author. It has not been necessary to quote verbatim all the evidence leading to the statement. It stands well on its own. If you are uncertain about exactly how much to quote verbatim, keep in mind that no more than 10 to 15% of your report should be made up of direct. It should be made up of direct quotations. Remember that when you quote someone directly, you are telling your readers that these words are the most important part of the author's work as far as you are concerned. Be a selective filter, not a large funnel. If you incorporate too many quotations in your report, you will simply be transferring the author's words from the book, article, or website to your paper. That will show that you have read the work but not have successfully evaluated it. Do not use direct quotations simply as a filter, as we said earlier. Save them when they count most. Okay. So, what about paraphrasing? Paraphrasing is a restatement. Restatement the sentences in your own words of the author's ideas. Even though you are using your own words to translate or restate, you will still must document the paraphrase because you are using the author's facts and interpretation. Most of your note-taking will be devoted to paraphrasing, especially in the literature review, rather than writing down direct quotations. You do not use quotations marks, though, when you include a paraphrase in your paper. You should be careful to do 4 things. First, be faithful to the author's meaning. Do not alter facts or introduce new ideas. Second, follow the order in which the author presents the information. Third, include in your paraphrase only what is relevant for your paper. Delete any details not essential for your work. And 4, use paraphrases in your report selectively. You do not want your report to be merely a restatement of someone else's ideas. This is an example. A paraphrase material can be introduced in your paper with an appropriate identifying phrases, such as according to blah, blah, blah study, or to paraphrase blah, 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 or as blah, blah, blah observes. So this is, as an example here in this slide, you can see this statement or this paragraph. And the next slide has been paraphrased in the author sentences and still have included a statement to show that this information is paraphrased from different resources, from other source. Now let's talk about documenting sources. If you're paraphrasing or using quotation from different sources, you have to document these sources appropriately. So documentation must be furnish readers with information about the print and electronic sources you have used for factual support of your statement. It is vital to any research report because of these reasons. It demonstrates that you have done your work. It shows that you are aware of the latest research in your field. It gives proper credit to your sources and avoids plagiarism. It informs readers about specific sources you used so they can locate your resources and verify your facts and quotations. How can we document? There are different ways to document the resources. And as we said, specifically in the literature review section, you have to use different literature, previous literature that is related to your work, and you have to quote them and cite them in an appropriate way. So now let's mention some of the citation style that is used in the field of research. So most professional associations have recreated their own guidelines for documenting sources. The most widely used documentation styles are MLA, which is Modern Language Association, and APA, such as American Psychological Association. And there are some others also in the field, such as IEEE, which is mainly used for engineering. But let's show some of the differences between all these different citation styles. If we take MLA as an example, it is used primarily in humanities, while APA is used in psychology, nursing, social sciences, and several technological, scientific, or engineering fields. As I said, some of the citation styles as dedicated for engineering as IEEE, an example. So what are the difference between these styles or citation styles? If you would like to follow the APA, which is the American Psychological Association style, you have to write the differences in a certain way. You have to start with the authors and publication date, title, and other application information, which include volume and page numbers, URL, which is the Uniform Resource Locator, and digital object identifier, if it's available. Here are some examples for citation or writing the references. I mean, if you are writing a reference for a book that is written by one author, you should write it in the following format. As an example, the first example, Spragging is the last name, and M is her or his initial first name. The date here is the date of publication, and the title of the work, which is Getting Ahead, or the title of the book, Getting Ahead: A Survival Guide for Black Women in Business. And finally is the information of publication or the agency, which is Wiley, Indianapolis Wiley. If this book has been written by two, you should see it in the second example. You will include the first author and second author last name and their initials, and continue the same format. If it is written by more than three or four, actually, if it's a 3 or 4, you should replace you should start with writing the first author last name and his initial as a first name. Then you replace the rest of the authors by writing et.al, comma, et al, etc. So this is an example. Blog posting is written in the following format, and journal article is also written by including the pages number, the volume, and etc. So this is if you'd like to choose the APA style, as you can see here. So according to this book, if you have 3 authors, you still have to write their last names. If you have in the APA style, if you have more than 4 or more, you should write the ET, etc. AL dot, instead of writing the authors, the name of the authors. But as you can see here, so in the paper, if you choose to write an APA research report, you have to start with the title page, abstract, the body, which include introduction, the literature review, the methods, results, and the 4th section is discussion, conclusion, and finally the references. So APA research report is an example of research report. The report was written, I'll show you in this next slide, an example of research report that is written by senior training specialist Terry Smith-Rickle and her staff for Vice President of Human Resources. The main task facing Rickle and her staff was to demonstrate what RPM technologies should do to meet the needs of multinational workers. She gathered relevant data from both primary and secondary research, including journal articles, websites, personal interviews, and government documents. But just to clarify something, when we say primary and secondary research, you should, if you're collecting the data in the methods by yourself, and in the section of literature review, you have used some other resources in the literature review to introduce your hypothesis. This is considered to be a primary research, still considered to be a primary research, because the source of your data that has been analyzed and discussed is you. But if you're doing just a literature review, or you're doing a descriptive analysis, and you based your finding from different resources, then this is considered to be a secondary research. So let me be clear about this, so you didn't get confused. So this is an example of the research, as I said, that is written in APA style. You see here we have the cover page, table of contents, list of literature illustrations, and abstract, introduction that include background, literature review, some figures, discussions, and finally references. So I would like also to show you, if you can, as you can see, using the, memorizing these different styles is sometimes challenging, but if you have used instead, you can use, let me just switch screen to switch the screen so you can see my so now, as I said earlier, if you're using, if you're quoting some information from the internet, let's assume that you get this statement from one of the sources, and we always use Google Scholar as an authentic source for searching for information. And after, if you're searching in Google Scholar about any topic that is related to your field, you're trying to quote this information, say tissue engineering, challenges in tissue engineering. This is just an example. Let's assume that I get this information, this source. So when tissue or organ have seen so severely diseased or lost trauma that is conventional, including tissue. So let's assume that I have take some of this information here from this source and paraphrase it in my own words and write it in my research as shown here. Once I wrote this statement, I have to include the citation. So there is a tab here in Word, it's called References. you can add your citation, add a new source, and it will ask you if it is a journal. We found this information from the journal, and you have to manually add this information, the author name. Let's go back to the author name of this journal. Let's review Yoshita Ikada. This is the author name. There's multiple authors. You can edit it and add their names. This is here. I have one, but if I would like to add more, let's say sorry. If I'm so as you can see here, I'm adding another author. You can list all the authors. So let me delete it for now. Title of your paper is what? Challenges in tissue engineering. The journal name is found here in the web. It's called Journal of Royal Society. Journal here. You can see it here. Journal of Royal Society. Journal of Royal Society. Let me make sure that they spell it. Society. Okay. So date, the year of publication is 2006. And the pages is from 55, it's the third volume, 589 up to 601. So from 589 up to 601. So here the citation has been included. Okay. So here is a statement that I paraphrased it from the paper here. For example, it says here almost 30 years have passed since the term tissue engineering was created to represent the new concept of focuses regenerative and new tissues from cells with the support of biomaterials and growth factors. You can like paraphrase the statement by saying since 30 years since the discovery or the invention, since the introduction, the term, since 30 years. Years in the tissue engineering field term has been introduced to the field biomedical engineering. And this is my reference, CADA. Now I'll show you if I have multiple references. See here, I have APA. APA, the American Psychological Association. I can change the style to MLA. IEEE, as I said earlier, is the engineering also citation style. In IEEE, as you can see, it's written differently. Citation is between brackets and written as numbers. In MLA, it's almost the citation is written only the last name without the year of publication. Whereas in APA, it's the year of publication is included. So now let's assume that this source have multiple authors. Let's fix it now. Where is it? So the source here, let me just edit it. Let's assume that there is multiple author here. Like, it's just an example, it's not accurate. Let's just show you how it looks, how it will be differ in writing. See, when we added two authors, they will be included here in the APA style. If we have three authors, how it should look. We'll see how it's really different. With the authors. Uh, So, and when we have three authors, their last names will be included in the citation. If we have more than three authors, it will be different, as you can see here. And that it's supposed to be, I mean, I thought if we have more than four authors, it should be according to the book, should replace the last name of the rest of the authors by it al, but I'm not sure why it's not shown here. So let me just make sure that this is the appropriate APA. Do we have another APA? See, Chicago. If you have more than two, if you have four, then it will be shown as in this style. APA is, I mean, maybe it's the new section, a new edition, because this is the 6th edition. But it's clear now from this, like Harvard as an example, it will replace by it. Anyway, you have to stick with the book guidelines. Now, this is the citation, which you should include after adding any statement from outside. And is this enough? No. In the end of your research, you have to add the sections called references, which include all the references that you have added. So as you can see, let's assume that I have added another statement from different source, and let's assume that the source is so this is the taking this source, some other sources. So now, once I added it previously, I can find it here in my sources. So let's assume that I'm taking this from this source. See, since I have one reference that shows one author, then it shows one last name. Okay. And let's assume that third statement, I got it from different source. Then I would add it here. Here I have three authors. See if Chicago format is the format style or citation style include the three last names, but it doesn't include more than three. So once these in the literature review have been added, I will have in the end of my research in the section of references, I have to add all these references. So in a segregated page, as you can see here, we'll go to the references and add my bibliography or references. So all my references has been added, as you can see here in the last sentence, last page. Sorry. Okay. And as you can see here, it takes time for you to add all these references. There is another way, programs that can be used to make it easier for you. It's called, for example, Mendeley. You can basically create an account, download it, and added it into your Word as an add-on. And this program will make your life easy by basically grabbing the information and grabbing the PDF file and adding it to your Mendeley workplace, and it will be added directly automatically instead of like adding each one of them. You can see these references is here. Instead of adding each one of the references manually, as we described earlier, you can basically go to Google here, Google Scholar, and download the source by choosing Iqtibas or quotation. You can, this is different styles. You can basically go to Riffman and save this file. Once it's saved into the downloads, you go to Mendeley here. Once it's downloaded and created, add reference file, import file, you go to add reference, import file, and you go to the file that you have just downloaded it, and it will be added directly here into your workplace. So once it's download, you go to your Word file, synchronize it, so you can add it here directly. For example, you grab it here, insert citation, that will be included. As you can see, it's here in IEEE. You can change the citation style by changing the type of style to, instead of Springer, to APA circular. Now it's updated, and you can have it here. You can have it here once you delete this. You can have it here by clicking into insert bibliography. It will be included, as you can see here. Why we have one? Because I only use one from this citation program. So this is just an example of how to use it. Wish you all the best, and thank you for listening. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.